You only want to say something, and you want to be understood by the other person. But sometimes it is not that easy. That is why you have to learn the 3 basic elements of communication. How works the executor, the action, and the receiver, and that is what you are going to see here. You are going to have 1. A grammar rule, to know how to say your things. 2. A text, to improve your pronunciation. 3. An exercise, to consolidate your knowledge. You will learn how to speak and listen to English and French. You will have free videos of English and French and how to settle, especially in Canada. That is why it's very important to click on the bell icon to receive the latest videos. Do you want to get rid of your language concerns? Here you improve your 4 skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking to get a higher score on international tests in order to improve your career abilities and to immigrate to Canada or to any other English or French-speaking country. Pay close attention to this video to find out how, in exchange, you help us by clicking on the bell icon and on the subscribe button and on the like button to spread the name of Canada Smart Mind. Now, here we go.
Negotiation vocabulary.
1. Word. 2. Part of speech meaning. 3. Example sentence. Alternatives. Noun. Other options. We can't offer you the raise you requested, but let's discuss some other alternatives. Amplify. Verb. Expand. Give more information. Could you amplify your proposal, please? Arbitration. Noun. Conflict that is addressed by using a neutral third party. We're better to settle this between us because a formal arbitration will cost both of us money. Bargain. Verb. Try to change a person's mind by using various tactics. We bargained on the last issue for over an hour before we agreed to take a break. Bottom line. Noun. The lowest one is willing to go. I'll accept a raise of $1 per hour, but that's my bottom line. Collective. Edge together. This is a collective concern, and it isn't fair to discuss it without Marie present. Compensate. Verb. Make up for a loss. If you are willing to work 10 extra hours a week, we will compensate you by paying you overtime. Comply. Verb. Agree. I'd be willing to comply if you can offer me my own private office. Compromise. Verb. Changing one's mind terms slightly in order to find resolution. We are willing to compromise on this issue because it means so much to you. Concession. Noun. A thing that is granted or accepted. Think we can offer all of these concessions, but not all at once. Conflict resolution. Noun. General term for negotiations. It is impossible to engage in conflict resolution when one of the parties refuses to listen. Confront. Verb. Present an issue to someone directly. I confronted my boss about being undervalued, and we're going to talk about things on Monday. Consensus. Noun. Agreement by all. It would be great if we could come to a consensus by 5 p.m. Cooperation. Noun. The working together. I have appreciated your cooperation throughout these negotiations. Counter proposal. Noun. The offer request which is presented second in response to the first proposal. In their counter proposal, they suggested that we keep their company name rather than creating a new one. Counterattack. Verb. Noun. Present another side of an issue. Before we could start our counterattack, they suggested we sign a contract. Counterpart. Noun. Person on the other side of the negotiations. I tried to close the discussions at noon, but my counterpart would not stop talking. Cordially. Verb. Noun. Politely. In the past, I have had little respect for that client, but today she spoke cordially and listened to my point of view. Demands. Add needs expectations that one side believes it deserves. They had some last-minute demands that were entirely unrealistic. Deadlock. Noun. Point where neither party will give in. When the discussions came to a deadlock, we wrote up a letter of intent to continue the negotiations next week. Dispute. Noun. Argument. Conflict. I was hoping to avoid discussing last year's dispute, but Monica is still holding a grudge. Dominate. The verb has the most control, stronger presence. Max has such a loud voice. He tends to dominate the conversations. Entitled. Edge. Be deserving of. My contract says that I am entitled to full benefits after 6 months of employment. Flexible. Edge. Open, willing to change. We have always been flexible in terms of your working hours. Haggling. Verb. Arguing back and forth, often about prices. We've been haggling over this issue for too long now.
Now, here is the grammar rule that you can use while you are talking. Remember, you got to have the grammar rules, the pronunciation. and the vocabulary to sustain your conversation. I wish I could say some nice words and cool you down, but here is the thing, you have to go deep into your practice to develop your skills. We post here the basics of grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. So hit the subscribe button and bell icon in order to receive the other videos and increase your ability to speak. Also, contact us to see how easy and cheap it is to enroll in our teaching program, where you can have videos, exercises, and books to support your work and to increase your performance. And share this video with your friends and help them out too. Text.
Scientists say they have used gene editing to block the ability of mosquitoes to identify human targets. The method is described in a new study led by American researchers. The scientists say the study could lead to major developments in the fight against mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue, yellow fever, and Zika. Such diseases, carried by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, kill hundreds of thousands of people each year. The researchers say their study is the first to closely examine the way mosquitoes use their sight to identify targets to bite. The study was recently published in Current Biology. The research centered on the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which bites during the daytime. Other kinds of mosquitoes, including Anopheles, hunt mostly at night. Anopheles are responsible for spreading malaria. Female Aedes aegypti search out blood meals in humans to develop eggs. They use several different senses to find those meals. One of the main identifying tools is the smell of carbon dioxide, CO2. When a human breathes out CO2, the mosquitoes become more active and begin looking for targets to bite. The research team said this search generally begins with the mosquito flying toward the direction of the released CO2. When seeking out targets, the insects search for dark objects. Once the mosquitoes are within close range, they can also sense heat from skin and additional skin smells to help guide them to a human. The researchers used the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing method to remove 2 out of 5 light-sensing receptors in the mosquito's eyes. They say taking away these receptors blocked the ability of the female Aedes aegypti to recognize dark targets. Craig Montel is a professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara, who helped lead the research. He said in a statement that by removing the 2 eye receptors, the team was able to eliminate CO2-induced target recognition without causing blindness. Experiments were carried out with the mosquitoes in cages and in wind tunnels. The team observed the insects' movements toward light or dark markers to confirm that the gene editing method had changed their behavior. In cage tests, the mosquitoes that did not undergo gene editing sought out a round black marker after sensing CO2. But the mosquitoes with the 2 receptors removed did not attempt to move to the black marker even with the presence of CO2. The team then carried out a series of tests to confirm that the gene-edited mosquitoes had not simply gone blind. The experiments involved observing the insects' reactions to light, as well as taking voltage measurements from electrodes connected to their eyes. The results of those tests showed that the gene-edited mosquitoes could not only still see, but they could also identify different shades and motion. Another leader of the study was Yinpeng Zhan, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of California, Santa Barbara. He said the research findings could have a wide effect on a series of insect disease carriers that can harm humans. Vision plays an important role in detecting a potential host for blood-feeding insects such as mosquitoes, kissing bugs, tsetse flies, and ticks, Zhan said. And this study is the first to uncover the molecular mechanisms behind this behavior. Next, the team says it will seek to identify other receptors used by Aedes mosquitoes to search out and feed on human targets. I'm Brian Lynn.
Remember to go to the description and check the links for Canadian companies searching for employees outside of Canada. Also, you will have a link for our contact in the description. Since you only can count on yourself, make your inscription and hit the like and the bell icons to receive our latest videos. 3.